Hey guys, so this is Pastor John, and I want to start something new that we're going to be calling Just John. A lot of what I do when it comes to social medias and even at church has to do with the church or Bible or leadership or things like that. And there are some things that just have to do with just me that I want to share with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. So this will be the first. If you guys like what we're doing or what I'm doing, please give us some feedback and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. So those people who know me really well know that I am a huge sports fan. I can pretty much watch any sport, and it doesn't matter where it's from. Like I can watch any sport from just about anywhere because I just like competition. There's something about sports and competition that's really amazing to me. So I've been wanting to integrate all of the things in my life because I feel like a lot of times a lot of the parts of my life come together in a powerful way in my brain, but they don't always come together outside of my brain. So I want to share something that touched my life and I thought was really amazing. And I want to give you some perspective about why it affected me the way it did. So one of the sports that I don't follow closely, but that I do think is kind of interesting sometimes, and sometimes I will watch a little bit, is the sport of NASCAR. And I know it's just driving and a lot of left turns, but I think it's really cool. And I've often thought, like, I don't know how much skill it takes, but then I see these people driving at hundreds of miles an hour, and I realize that sometimes when I'm driving at 70 miles an hour, I feel like, man, it's taking a lot of my strength to take care of this car. I can't imagine driving at hundreds of miles an hour, but whatever. I digress. Those that have been following socially what's been going on in the world, obviously we've had this amazing movement when it comes to human rights and specifically to equality. The Black Lives movement has really, Black Lives Matter movement has really taken over the world. And really, when I talk about the world, I mean literally the world. Ever since the tragic murder of George Floyd, we've had this outpour over Black Lives Matter, and rightfully so. In the midst of all this, something happened that was phenomenal. There's a man named Bubba Wallace. He is the only African American driver on the NASCAR circuit. There are other drivers that are African American on other circuits, but particularly in the NASCAR circuit, there's only one, and his name is Bubba Wallace. So as soon as all of this happened, Bubba Wallace came out very quickly, and he said that he thought that the idea that Confederate flags were still flown in NASCAR races was a big deal and that they should be abolished from NASCAR altogether. Now, for context, most of the people who will watch this video aren't really into NASCAR, probably have never been to a race, but NASCAR is a very southern driven sport. And because it's southern driven, the reality is that in many occasions, there are people who come to races wearing Confederate flags or wearing or sporting Confederate flags or having it on their cars or tattooed or whatever. The Confederate flag, which is the symbol of the states that rebelled from the Union because of slavery in the time of the Civil War, that flag is a symbol to many people of what slavery is truly about. About the inequality that was held at that time, and the fact that there was people who were willing to fight just to keep this inequality present. To me, I feel very much that way. I feel like this Confederate flag is nothing more than a symbol of the reality that there was people willing to fight, to go to war, to be able to own people. I mean, think about that for a second. There was people fighting for the right to own other people. That's just bonkers for me to think about. And this flag is a symbol that there was people who wanted that. So Bubba Wallace talks about abolishing this. And immediately he gets backlash. He gets this crazy backlash. All these people start talking negatively about him. All these people start going at him. But there's a whole community that bands around him. NASCAR decides to abolish the Confederate flag. During their first race, after that moment, someone even flew on an airplane, and I'll try to see if I can put a picture right here of that moment. Someone flew an airplane with a sign that said like something like in favor of the Confederate flag, like, oh, you know, long live the Confederate flag or something like that. I don't remember what it said. Like I said, I'll put a picture here, hopefully. But the point is that obviously this was met with huge discussion and anger. The following week, something crazy happened. So most of you may know about this story. If you don't, just bear with me. I promise I'm getting to something. So the following week in Bubba Wallace's garage, right? Each of the teams gets their private garage where their car is held. They do their mechanical work. So in Bubba Wallace's garage, they found what is known as a noose. A noose is a rope that is fashioned in such a way with a certain number of knots, particularly to hang people. Like, it's not just a knot that's tied any which way. Again, picture of a noose. It's specifically made to hang people. And they found one in Bubba Wallace's garage. So now there's all this craziness going on. Literal craziness. Everywhere I was watching, you know, I'm a big fan of ESPN. I watch First Take. All of these shows that have to do with discussions about sports. First Take, Undisputed, any of these shows, First Things First, Get Up in the Mornings. So all these shows were talking about this noose found in Bubba Wallace's garage. And I'm thinking to myself, this world has gone nuts. How dare someone go into this garage and fashion a noose to try to scare this man? Like, this is just insane to me, the lengths that people will go to hurt people. Like, such hatred, such anger, such frustration. It was just, I can't even tell you how it made me feel. Like, it was just such a length of emotions. Bubba Wallace comes out and says that he's not scared, you know, whatever. The next day is the NASCAR race. NASCAR immediately starts to investigate the noose. The findings of the noose don't come out till the day after the race, okay? And I'll tell you what NASCAR found about the noose. So the day of the race, something amazing happened, the likes of which I really have never seen. And this is what provoked this video. The day of the race, NASCAR drivers usually drive their cars up to the start line. And the way this usually happens is the NASCAR driver's inside, and usually his team kind of pushes the car or walks with the car up to the start line. Not this day. This day, Bubba Wallace is in his car, and literally everyone on the track walked next to, pushed Bubba Wallace's car to the front. Okay, the image of which I'm gonna put right here. Such an amazing image, such a powerful moment. Bubba Wallace is inside the car and they're showing the car cam and he's crying like crazy. It was such an amazing moment. I watched it maybe 5 or 6 times because to me that was the best demonstration of kindness, love, compassion, and tolerance that I have ever seen in my life. I mean, protests are awesome. This was such a huge symbol of, this is not one person against culture. This is all of us against this culture that's not going to be accepted. There was such a unity there, such a beauty. Competitors, decided to put aside their competitive nature to for 1 second be a unified front. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was awesome. NASCAR found later that the noose wasn't intended to be a noose. It was definitely fashioned as a noose. But what it is every garage has a hanging rope, a rope that you pull down, and I think it's part of the garage functions. Every garage has it. And this particular garage just had the knot fashioned as a noose. It was the only one, but it had been there for years already. And it just so happens that Bubba Wallace was given that garage by randomness. No one thought it was a criminal act or anything like that. And thank God, I would shudder to think that the world is so evil that someone would have done this on purpose. I would have hated to think that. But I'm grateful that it was just a random act and not something that was with some type of hatred behind it. But the power of that image was just so great, because it showed off everything that's amazing about sport, everything that's amazing about what we should be as humankind, what we should be as Christians, what we should be as anything. Is that whenever one of us hurts, all of us should hurt. Whenever one of us is being mistreated, all of us should accept that we're being mistreated. There's power in unity. And yes, we have differences that make us different and apart and separate us. But we also have so many things in common that if we just rallied around the things we have in common and ignored the things that make us different, we would become such better people. I mean, the world would be a better place if we were unified like that all the time. And it's sad that it took what appeared to be an act of pure hatred to bring people together like that and to show someone support in a moment when they needed it. But this is what usually happens. It usually takes a tragedy or a catastrophe of some kind for us to show that we're united. I'll never forget the way the United States united in such a powerful way after 9/11. But why did it take 9/11 to unite us like that? Why is it that it takes for something bad to happen for us to unite as people? We need to realize that unity is something that is hard to achieve, but is awesome when you have it. So I encourage you today to look at your neighbor, to look at the people around you and realize there are a lot of things that make us different, but there's a lot that make us the same. And if we learn to appreciate the things that make us the same and to value how much we actually have in common, we can bring true unity to the world. And that is something that the world greatly needs today. So, NASCAR, thanks for the lesson. Again, this is just me sharing some of my thoughts, a little bit about myself. There might be more videos like this coming up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me some feedback. I want to know that this was something that you enjoyed watching and that you want to see more of. And if you like our content, please like, subscribe, share, let people know, hit that notification bell so you get our videos. We are trying to put out content to bless your life. So thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. And remember, we're stronger together.